Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to ERA Sunday Championship. My name is Stephen Koenig, and it's wonderful to have you all here. Right, we're going to be kicking things off a little bit differently to this evening, as 2 years ago we lost a driver, a family member, a friend, a dad, a mentor. Joshua Friedman was a ERA legend that not only helped the community, but also helped develop what we've got now. A fierce competitor on the circuit, a close friend to many, that even when the chips were down, the smile was always there. Joshua has always kept himself concerned about his family, well-being of his family and friends, and even right up until last was always with a smile, supportive, ready, more than happy to give you the shirt off his back. 2 years ago, ERA lost a legend, lost an incredible competitor, fierce to the bone, was more than happy to go and fight it out side by side. On the 24th of November, he passed the final checkered flag. Joshua, an incredible human being, passed away, leaving his kids and his wife, but always considering to watch from up high. This lap of honor from all our competitors, not only just here in Server 1, but in Server 2, is a steady reminder to the legend of Mr. Friedman and how much he has done for the community, for us friends, and for sim racing in the world, being part of the unified force. On this drive, every competitor remembers the fun times, the epic battles, the side-by-side moments, the chases throughout the field. As we get ready for the second last round of our championship, we'd like to say thank you to Joshua for sharing the circuit with us. And your spirit will forever live long here with us in ERA. Gone, but never forgotten. In the immortal words of the Disney character that is here in ERA, Ohana. Ohana means family, and family is never left behind. Thank you very much, everybody, and may you rest in peace and watch over our ERA competitors, especially around Brands Hatch. Right, with that being said, thank you very much to everyone out in the virtual grandstands, to our drivers and to our teams on that moment of silence for an absolute legend. Let me reiterate. Welcome to ERA Sunday Championship and welcome to the absolute run of a lifetime. Second last round of the championship for 2025. And we are here at the legendary circuit out in the UK, my personal favorite. Welcome to Brands Hatch, a circuit that will literally throw you into the dirt just because you are a little bit too quick into turn one. And that is what our drivers are going to have to compete with as they blast off the start line and head into a long right-hander as Paddock Hill bend into podium, down towards Druids, heading into second gear. You travel around before you get to a left-hander of Surtees that can cause you to get over those track limits. Hawthorne Bend is a little bit further along, as it is just 1, 2, 3, 4 right-handers before you immediately go into Sterling's, which is a left-hander. Sweep across, short straight, and then it's a long right-hander of Clark's Curve that will take you to the start-finish line yet again. And with that being said, our championship out here, it's in the gold. It's Arul Jar, who currently leads out on 65 points. Ronald Priggs sits on 52. Christian Fengler on 43, 1 point away from Finn Van Hollen. Christoph Rolotsky tying up on 42 points. Finn the Gamble on 40. Diego Matos sitting on 37. Ulrich Diago on 30. Matt Gale sits on 29 points, tied with Lewis Knight. Incredibly close in our goal. Let's take a look at what our platinum looks like. Ryan Gell on 72 points with David Roschke sitting on 44 points, only 2 points away from the big man himself, Chris Wall. Isam Domingo sits on 38 points, 4 points ahead of modern spritzer Paul Fenter on 32 points after a stellar run at Kyalami is now tied with Daniel Mutsuma. Simon Kursat joins in to make it a bit of a trio. With that 32 points, Sebastian Luxon on 26, 2 points ahead of David Roth. Now it all looks to be rather open as Christoph Peterson goes and rides out high with 73 points. Benison Biggs a little bit down after Kyalami is on 64 points. Wyeth Musa on 52. Cole Heinz on 48. Stephen Milana James on 32. Sean Skitter on 22 points. He's also out of today. A little bit of a hard of hearing at the moment, one would say. But Matt Whitburn on a debut outing is on 18 points. That ties him up with Andre Sorodio. Darius sits on 16. And Ben Hicks, after a grand return, sits in the top 10 on 12 points in our diamonds. So our drivers now making their way around the circuit, trying to see what they can do. Diego Matos is top of the cards and looking to power his way around the circuit. We are taking a look to the virtual grandstands. We got Liam is a Ghost and the likes of Kokosaurus. Wonderful to have you guys out there. And even Chris Wall, who led out our lap of honor for Joshua, going and saying thank you everyone for that. And it was absolutely grand for everyone to share that moment. And, well, the only way I can put it is here at ERA, our drivers are not just, well, cars on a grid. They're family. Doesn't matter when, where, or how. They're always part of the ERA family. Diego Matos, Christian Fingler, Rul Jar, Christoph Rolotsky, Ulrich Diaga, Paul Whitburn is going and doing everything he can for the Rainbow Sparkles Racing. Finn Van Hollen and Ronald Priggs out on circuit, setting a time. McGall sets a time on the board. However, Lewis Knight went and had a little bit of a problem earlier on, and he was able to put a time on the board now with a beautiful 124.7. You'll notice a lot of the liveries is just paying homage to Joshua, and whether it is just wearing the black of the cars, others going to previous color schemes that he had on the car to remember him. And honestly, it's a great moment to see drivers going in, tipping their hat to a legend. Finn the Gamble, the only one of our gold division yet to get the time on the board to make it work out for him. Let's see where he's going to come out, as he does come across the line and he puts in a 130.6. However, it was an off track, so it doesn't count, and unfortunately going to throw him a little bit further out of the running. So Diego Matos currently leads with a 0.2 increase on his personal best as he makes his way around the circuit. It's going to be into the 4 right-handers where it's just gear down, keep accelerating, gear down, accelerate again, gear down. Oh, and that unfortunately is what happens if you don't gear down. Falling off the circuit through the left-hander, Ronald Priggs. Next up by, see if he can keep up the momentum currently on a good lap. Paul Whitburn as well. Also a great bit of pace underneath him as he's trying to improve after Kyalami, making a grand welcome to Kyalami and really doing a good job. Stuck it out through the end, and we had to see both him and his son really go and show what they can do. Whitburn family, obviously wonderful to have them. Christoph Rolotsky down in 8th place, and Matt lurking around 1.1 seconds faster than his last lap time. Does move up into 10th, pushing Finn van Holland a little bit further down the order, but it's Federico Calgero that goes and puts in a proper time. He is absolutely flying. 0.3 up on his best lap time. Paul Whitburn moves himself up into 3rd place. Ronald Priggs now trying to push a little bit harder. Has the option to be into 1st. Is it going to work? Yes, it is. Ronald Priggs takes the Black Lung Bandits up into 1st place. Diego Matos now needs to try and get a 1:23.8 to be in contention. Paul Whitburn up 0.1 of a second. Federico Calgero is looking to be the closest in that fight. 0.4 up on his personal best, and possibly, just possibly, having enough in the tank to really put the hammer down as he comes around the final corner. The McLaren screaming as we got 3 minutes left of qualifying for our drivers, and as Federico Calgero up into 2nd place for the Cyber Racing team. Absolutely a monumental moment coming in for our drivers, looking to really show what they can do. Paul Whitburn utilizing the toe, getting pulled along at the moment, trying to see if Arul Jar, just ahead of him, can give him that slipstream to push that little bit more. Arul 0.6 down on his time, now going for an absolute banker lap when he comes across the line. He's got 2 minutes to go and make it work out in his favor as he goes for the lines. Paul Whitburn up into 2nd place. Calgero down to 3rd. Briggs holds 1st in our gold. Diego Matos is trying to give it everything he can in the Mustang. Holds on 4th. Lewis Knight trying to stand on top. And Ronald Priggs with a 1:23.8 that time by. Sets the pace and now continues to keep the pace going all the way up. It's all about watching those numbers go and increase. Ulrich Diago, Matt Gall, unfortunately, no answer. They're going to wait in pit lane. Finley Gamble, 0.8 up on his time. Oh, no, just puts a wheel off. And that, unfortunately, is going to compromise him. Real Jar trying to give it everything he's got. 0.5 up on his time. Christian Fengler, 0.2 up on his time. These two drivers so far can push themselves that little bit more in the gold division. Fighting out for the points. Real Jar through the right-hander. Gets himself ready. Hard on the brakes. Down to 2nd gear. Throws it into the left-hander and flat on the gas as they charge to the final corner. It's going to be all about just controlling the throttle, not to get the rear to kick out underneath him. Brings it out wide to the fringe of the circuit. Brings it nice and deep back on the inside. Up against pit wall. And 0.6 goes up into 3rd place. Lewis Knight trying to also get a little bit more of a drive underneath him as he steps up his pace, trying to see where exactly it's going to work out. Going and really pushing that little bit more once again to the top 5 of the gold. Just clawing at the bits at the moment. A 1:24.172 was his time. Diego, 1:24.11. So if he can just knock down 0.06, he will get ahead of Diego Matos, but he's got to really give it horns right now. 24 seconds to go before the end of their qualifying, and we will be releasing our Platinums onto the circuit. Lewis Knight up into 4th place. Calgero down into 5th, and that is him done and dusted. Gamble, last of the drivers to really get that absolute hammer down. 0.4 up. Oh, just hooked the dirt on the right-hand side. And that was all she wrote for the Ferrari as he just absolutely bins it in the wall, getting quite frustrated. Moving on to our Platinums, heading out onto the circuit tonight here at Brands Hatch it is going to be David Borski hoping to make it work out. Mon Spritzer, David Roth, Daniel Mutsuma, Chris Wall, Ryan Gell, Richard Van Heerd, all going and looking to step their way forward. And Paul Fenter trying to get a big move up through the order as he's wanting to keep it all together. Logistical Nightmare Racing team actually coming off a stellar run in the LMU 24 Hours of Le Mans that was just recently come on by, so looking to take that motivation, that push a little bit forward here in the world of ERA for the second last round of the championship, second last round of our 2025 championship. And that is how close we are to the very, very end. That is how close we are to going and signing our legends into history here at ERA for 2025. Now, time to beat a 123.8 set by Ronald Priggs. We're second place, a 123.897 instead of a 827. And Paul Whitburn holds that second place. Let's see what our platinums are able to do around the likes of Brands Hatch, as we do see Dave Borski starting his banker lap. 10 minutes of qualifying, 8 minutes and 24 seconds to go. Who's going to be able to put those times on the board? That's going to work out for them. Richard Farid all the way out from South Africa, now trying to close up the gap and looking to carry some of the motivation from the rugby to see if he can bring that SA car to the front, along with the Eleanor Banana Express of the likes of Paul Fenter, giving it everything he can to make it work out in his favor. Mon Spritzer trying to push a little bit harder, and on the circuit right now, Chris Wall with a tribute livery to an absolute legend. And now going and showing what he can do, putting the power down early and looking to try and run forward. And Chris going and carrying the name forward for Joshua, wants to be sure that he can get into first place to go and pull away from the rest and ensure that he will be the first one across the line. However, it is going to be a tough race indeed to see how the drivers are going to make it work out in their favor. So Chris Wall booting it across the line into 19th, a 130.6 at the moment. With likes Dave Roski hoping to set a good time on the board, a 123.6. Managing just to go and knock down 0.2 of a second off Ronald Priggs. Paul Fenter slots himself into 7th position with a 123.9. Now trying to get that pace underneath him, see if how it's going to work. Chris Wall, unfortunately, put a wheel off, and that is why his time didn't count to 130.6. Ryan Gell, exactly the same problem, a 129.5. Richard Van Heerd, a 134.0. So just by putting a wheel wrong, unfortunately, both managed to lose that little bit of time. Ryan Gell comes back at him, though, and now a 123.620. Take a look at that, 0.01 off the likes of David Borski. He wants to fight it out, and last race was the very first time Ryan did not start on the front row. He is looking to try and make it happen yet again, and it seems like the 123s are where it's going to be at for our competitors to really put the hammer down. But so far, with only 3 of our platinum drivers at the moment that's been able to put a time on the board, pressure is starting to build. 5 minutes to go, and it's all about pushing it that little bit more. Who's going to be able to stand on top when it comes to the end of qualifying? Chris Wall is able to put himself with a 124.6. Not ideal, but he is out there on the board compared to the rest of his competitors of Mon Spritzer, David Roth, Daniel Mutsuma, who are still looking to put a time on the board. So Ryan Gell holds on. Fenter into 4th. Richard Van Heerd is able to launch his way up into 9th place to sit in that top 10 with a 124.0, as more and more drivers now starting to get to grips with the cars. Mon Spritzer in the BMW up into that top 5, getting a little bit squirrely coming down the podium hill, getting a little bit worried on the run. 123.065. Can we see a 122? As Ryan Gell put a great time on the board, he still has a little bit more pace underneath him to really make it work. This is going to be a tough race for our competitors to really go and push the extra mile to see where they're going. Who's going to be able to stand at the top? David Broschke now trying to retake the lead in the Platinum class. Needs a 1:23.0, and his loss was a 1:23.6. He wasn't able to get that pace a little bit through the corner. Down by 0.1, picked it up by 0.2 through the round. It is dawn. The sun is in the eyes as you head towards turn 1. Can he make it work? David Broschke comes across the line, a 1:23.3 this time round. And unfortunately, not able to take the lead of this qualifying session away from Ryan Gell. Paul Fenter trying to push a little bit harder as he's coming through Podium Hill. 1:23.8, needing to get past the likes of Ronald Priggs to ensure that there is no gap between his class competitors. Mon Spritzer comes across the line. Last lap was a 1:24.4, slower than his personal best. And unfortunately, off into the dirt as well. Chris Wall trying to improve his time. David Roth and Daniel Mutsuma yet to put a time on the board. Daniel Roth's going to rather wait for the end of qualifying and start from the back of the pack. Chris Wall, 0.2 of a second up on his time. Richard Fahid, currently 0.1 of a second up on his time. In through the left-hander. Down the gears in second. Keep your foot on the gas. It's now up into third. Up into fourth. As you touch the brakes, down to third gear, hook it through the right-hander, feather the throttle, and then absolutely plant it on the exit. Wait for the understeer, as now Chris Wall comes across the line, getting into the top 10. Yes, he does. Into 6th place with a 1:23.8. What a drive on his part. Rich Fanid, unfortunately, not going to be going and doing a better lap time. Down in the last sector, will come across a line, and that 1:24.0 is going to sit that little bit more. Last lap time was 1:24.1, and with literally 2 minutes left in qualifying, each of the drivers getting a little bit more comfortable. Ryan still holds the top of the order, aiming to get a 1:22 here at Brands Hatch. Absolutely pushing a little clip on the dirt. Gets unsettled. He was able to save it, but can he keep the momentum? Pushing harder and harder. 0.1 of a second. If he can carry this, he'll get into the 1:22s, but he's got to make it work. Oh no, understeered right off the circuit. Was looking into the 1:22s this time round. Unfortunately, just couldn't keep that car under control. David Broschke currently 0.1 up. Paul Fenter 0.2 up. Daniel Mutsuma sitting in 13th, doing a 1:24. He's currently 0.1 up as well. So a couple of drivers just doing whatever they can to get that little bit of momentum. The only one of our Platinum drivers yet to put a time on the board and won't be able to put a time on the board is David Roth in that Audi R8. He's going to have to wait it out. Paul Fenter coming around the final corner, flooring it 0.3 of a second. Can he carry the momentum forward? Close to the wall and across the line. It does a 1:23.402 and will hold third place, but managing to stretch the gap away from Ronald Priggs and to Mon Spritzer, who's currently 0.1 up on his time. So he comes launching out of the final corner, aims for the main straight. Can he keep the momentum working? And across the line, Mon Spritzer does move up into 4th place. Ronald Priggs down into 5th. A little bit more room to play with. Rich Fanid still out on circuit. 50 seconds to go to put a time on the board for our Platinum. Brosch, along with likes of Martin Spritzer and Richard Fanid, continue to try get that little bit more pace underneath him. Daniel Mutsuma as well, trying to see if he can get into the top 10 and get involved in the fight. For Richard Fanid, a 1:23.93 is what he needs to be able to secure a top 10 ahead of Federico Calgero. And this is going to be a final hard push for him. Daniel Mutsuma doing a 1:24.1 will need to go down by 0.3 to get into that top 10. So it's going to be a hard push for him as well as they do come racing across the line. Here's Paul Fenter as he won't be having an improvement this time by. Rich Fanid, next one, 0.1 up on his time. Is this going to work to get him into the top 10? He blasts across the line up into 7th position, leaving Daniel Mutsuma, our final driver, to go and get his time on the board for the Platinums. Can he move into the top 10? Currently lying in 13th and is running second last in class. He has to get right up to 8th position to be sure he can fight out with his own class. Runs out a bit wide. The proper racing machine tries to come through. Daniel across the line will move up into 12th. Not close enough to get into the fight. So now it is time for our Diamond Division. And all eyes go towards Matt Whitburn, a proper quick driver. We've got Kyalami, who had a dominating win over our multiple champion, Christian Fingler. That's Christoph Peterson, apologies, who is holding on to the lead of this championship. Matt Whitburn will be seeing what he can do. Ben Hicks, returning to the circuit, showed he's more than happy to get into a fight with Mahath Musa, who went and got third place as the South African in the Diamond Division, but was too nervous to get on the microphone. Steve Milano James down in 24th at the moment. Smaller grid for our Diamond Division here tonight, as each of the drivers now trying to work out what can they do in the championship. There is a drop round to play with, and a few of the drivers are going to try and utilize that here tonight for the likes of Brands Hatch for the championship. However, by utilizing that, comes to the final round, you have nothing to play for. Apologies. So, the main thing about a drop round is in case you have life catching up with you. For whatever reason, you are unable to make to the race, think about it's your streak that you got. You want to try and complete all 7 rounds, and it will drop your worst round. So if you happen to do round 5, you came stone dead last, you scored 1 point, that would be your drop round. That being said, if you're fighting out for like Christoph Peterson and Ernest Limburgs, and Limburgs is actually not here tonight to go and try and guard his second place in the championship, this will be his drop round. He can't utilize any of the others as his drop round to ensure to move forward. So Christoph Peterson is looking to take the victory, and his worst round will be dropped, which at this point is looking to be a second place. Ben Hicks holds on 0.4 of a second up on his time. Matt off to a great run as well. Mahath Musa, and Stephen Milano James as they come blasting their way through. So, first time on the board for our Diamond. Stephen Milano James comes across the line and puts a 124.2. Matt Whitburn trying to do everything he can. Ben Hicks boots himself up into 13th position. And Matt Whitburn still trying to get a little bit more of a run underneath him. Mahath Musa right out the gates gets into the top 5 with a 123.8. He knows he can get into the 122s here on a very, very beautiful day at Brands Hatch. It's 19 degrees. It's starting to warm up. It's early morning, and we had that sun coming up over Podium Hill, making life a little bit difficult. Even heading out of Surtees becomes a little bit of a difficult run, as our cameraman having to go and deal with the apertures on the cameras to ensure that we can see all that's going on. I do want to point out we have a very, very special guest in the VIP grandstands, and well, to all the drivers listening in, this is a message to you. Jess Friedman, going and putting in. Thank you so much for the lap of Josh. We appreciate the fact that he's still remembered, and love from his sister. Jess, we can't ever forget Joshua and the achievements that he has done here in ERA. Going back a bit, getting to even commentate and see him out on air was incredible, as he's a competitor that was fierce, but at the same time, very forgiving and teaches people how to do it. I even remember him giving me a few gears as well. But, with that being said, he's part of the ERA family, and he will never be forgotten. His spirit will live on in competition, in his resilience, and in his kind nature. So thank you very much, Jess, for joining us here at ERA. And thank you very much to the entire Freedom family for letting us spending time with Joshua. An incredible person. Absolutely wonderful to have Jess coming in, sister of Josh, to come and give us a bit of thoughts. And I think for all the drivers, it really means a lot to see that, Jess. And on a day, the 24th of November, we all remember it, we keep it in our hearts, and this race is dedicated to Josh, as ultimately Josh and the others that have passed on will always take the checkered flag before our drivers. Matt Whitburn currently leads out with 122.7. Christoph Peterson in second place. Rangel will have to settle to be on third place in the second row with David Borschke. Ben Hicks is looking to try and knock him down a little bit. He's going to be pushing a bit harder. Steve Milano James, 0.3 of a second up. Mahath Musa trying to give it everything he's got as well, as our drivers looking to find that little bit of pace. Christoph Peterson currently fastest in the sectors, trying to move into first place and take the fight to Matt Whitburn, as friend and foe now look to go and battle it out as Ben Hicks runs out wide, getting it all sorted out. A little bit of a hairy moment for him, just that clip onto the dirt, and now trying to really keep the power going. Ben runs out wide, brings it right up against the wall, flat on the gas, and can he move up from 6th? He does, up into the top 5. Stephen Milano James puts himself into third place, pushing Ryan Gell to 4th. Mahath Musa up into 6th position behind Ben Hicks as they continue on the drive. 2 minutes and 22 seconds left of our qualifying here at Brands Hatch, and so much time left on the board to give it that final big push, that final charge here at ERA for the second last round of the championship, the second last round of 2025. Matt Whitburn getting a little bit of a tank slapper on the way through the Porsche, not quite working with him. The Rainbow Sparkles Racing trying to get a little bit more pressure on the car, trying to get that little bit more movement. Hooks it through the right-hander, flat on the gas on the way through, and really trying to get that climb up into first place. Is it going to be enough though? As he comes across the line, was not able to improve, and Christoph Peterson still holds on to first place. Last of the drivers out there, Mahath Musa, Whitburn and Peterson still trying to give it that last little jump. Musa down in 6th place, wants to get into the top 3, or at least get ahead of Ryan Gell, so he's in for a close fight with our Diamond Division. Comes across with a 123.327, not quite where he wants it to be compared to his 123.2 set earlier in this qualifying. Matt Whitburn and Mahath Musa still trying to push on a little bit more. Christoph Peterson calls it quits. He is going to rather wait it out that little bit longer, as we see Mahath Musa and Whitburn once again trying to push themselves a little bit harder. Matt just not finding the grip on the rear, sliding it out, trying to push a little bit harder each and every time, and it's starting to bite him as Mahath Musa deciding that he's out. And Matt Whitburn getting completely out of shape. Unfortunately, that is going to ensure he holds on to 2nd on the row as he comes screaming across towards the line. This lap time, not going to be the 122.7 he wanted, but gets a 122.785 instead of the 122.702. So just that rear not being comfortable underneath him, and it's going to be Christoph Peterson on the front row with a 122.6. So our drivers all done and dusted now. Diamonds, platinums, and golds getting ready to rock and roll here tonight at Brands Hatch for round 6 of the championship. And it all comes down to this. Couple of corners, a little bit of straights, a whole lot of gas, and points on the line. It is dawn. It is now the sun rising here at a beautiful Brands Hatch circuit. Track is 19 degrees with an air temperature of 19 as well. And we are locked and loaded. 24 cars yet to get on the circuit, and they will be blasting their way to the top. The only car that hasn't been able to set a qualifying time was David Roth in the Audi R8. And unfortunately will be going and losing out and fighting his way from the back of the pack. So as we get ready to go to grid in a short little time, a massive welcome to you all. Welcome to ERA Evolution Racing Academy Sunday Championship. This is going to be a wild run, as this is season 16, folks. Can you believe it? 16 seasons of our Sunday Championship that has brought some of the fastest drivers from across the world going and duking it out for the honors to go and fight it towards the top and show what they can do to stay in the fight. And where it all comes down to the last 2 rounds of the championship, all eyes go towards the front of each of our classes, looking to go for the victories. Let's take a look at our gold as a reminder. It's going to be a real jar, sitting on 65 points with Ronald Priggs in 2nd place on 52 points. Christian Fingler on 43 points, only 1 point away from Finn van Allen, Christoph Rolotsky, Finley Gamble, Diego Matos, Ulrich Diaga, Matt Gall, along with Lewis Knight, tying up on points for 9th and 10th position. Moving on to our platinum, it is Ryan Gell who will be leading out even from qualifying on 72 points. Dev Roschke going to be hunting him down in that Mustang. Chris Wall, the Aston Martin, will be looking to try and close the distance. Issam Domingo, Martin Spritzer, Paul Fenter, Daniel Mutzler, Simon Kussat, Sebastian Lucasen, David Roth, rounding out our top 10 for our platinums. And we'll take a look to our diamonds. Christoph Peterson, Ernest Lindbergs, Mike Musa, Carl Heinz, Stephen Milano, James, Sean Skitter, Matt Whitburn, Andre Sorodio, Darius going and running in 9th place, with Ben Hicks rounding out the pack. So our drivers starting to get themselves ready and heading to the grid, and we'll be joining them as well, as life is about to get rather interesting. If you haven't seen it before, a massive welcome to you here at ERA, and a massive welcome to our Sunday Championship here at Brands Hatch. But let's take you through what is happening here. For anyone that hasn't seen us during the course of our 16 seasons, where on earth have you been? It has been an incredible time, and season 16 has proven to be one of our closest runs in the championship. So, we have got a success penalty. In other words, if you took the victory here at any time in the last race, you get a 15-second success penalty. That is a penalty you serve during your pit stop. It helps bring the grids a lot closer, so you don't get those runaway drivers from the pack. It also teaches you to think a little bit outside the box of how to move forward. First place is 15 seconds. Second place is 10 seconds. Third is 5. So at the moment, Matt Whitburn will be going and starting off with 15 seconds in our Diamond Division, with Christoph Peterson with 10, and Mahath Musa finished third last race, so he will have 5 to deal with. Paul Fenter got second place, so he's got 10 seconds, with Mon Spritzer coming third with 5 seconds, and it was an absolute fight. However, first place of our Platinums not here tonight, so it will be carried over to when he returns in the next race. For our Gold Division, it will be the likes of Diego Matos, who got the victory. Final lap overtake over Christian Fingler, who lost it through the S's. So Diego gets that 15 seconds to deal with. Christian Fingler will have to deal with a 10-second penalty, and Arul Jar will have to deal with a 5-second success penalty. Unfortunately, not having his run at Kyalami after the chaos that happened at Barbecue. So, all eyes leading out to the front. Christoph, Matt, hoping to get the drive. Stephen Milano James lining up against Platinum driver Ryan Gell, who's looking to really take the fight to the sharp end of the field. Ben Hicks, Mahit Musa, rounding out our top 6. We'll have the likes of Broschke and Paul Fenter hunting him down. Mon Spritzer will see the start with our Gold Division driver, Ronald Priggs. He's been doing a phenomenal job working on consistency to be able to fight it out towards the sharp end of the field. Let's see if he will be able to stay at the top of the order. So drivers getting ready to rock and roll, waiting to be freed at this point as the timer ticks down. Last little bits of work happening on the cars to try and get them ready, knowing that this is round 6. This is make or break for drivers. This is either you're going to get it right or you're going to lose out the championship. And Brands Hatch is a circuit that in the past has gone and caused some amazing overtaking moments, but at the same time has landed up with some hefty crashes. Going back 2 seasons, Brands Hatch landed up seeing a Mercedes going launched into the air and rolling after going and T-boning another car as they came down towards the final left-hander on the circuit. And that is going to be a definite one for many of the drivers to remember as they start to make their way around the circuit for the formation lap. Let's take a look for round 6 of the ERA Sunday Championship. 2 to go, and now let's see who is starting where. So, Christoph Peterson will be launching off the line with Joshua Friedman in heart, looking to really go and battle his way through. He's got Matt Whitburn for a bit of company in second place. Stephen Milano James along with Ryan Gell, Ben Hicks, Ayath Musa, David Broschke, Paul Fenter, Lon Spritzer, Ronald Priggs, Chris Wall, Richard Pinheada, along with Paul Whitburn. We'll be keeping an eye on the young man ahead of him, and we're hoping to see where exactly that is going to be the fun, where exactly he can tie in for the points. A little bit further down, Real Jar, Lewis Knight, Federico Calgero, Daniel Mutsuma, Diego Matos, Christoph Rolotsky, Christian Fengler, rounding out our top 20, looking to carry some great pace that he had at Kyalami here at Brands Hatch. Finn Holland, along with Ulrich Diaga, Matt Gall, along with David Roth, who has yet to set a qualifying time. Fortunately, will have to claw his way from the back of the pack to catch up to the rest of the Platinums lurking within the top 17. So as drivers start to navigate their way around, Christoph Peterson and Whitburn will dictate the pace. They'll slow the cars down as they will file side by side, 70 kilometers an hour. And at the moment, they're just trying to generate as much heat going into those tires, into those brakes, utilizing either a moving left to right, so going and just weaving. That is going to slowly but surely generate some heat into the tires. Also a little bit of brake drag as well, generating heat into the brake disc, which goes into the rim, bleeds into the carcass of the tire, and gives you a little bit more of grip. But at the same time, you're warming those brakes up, which you're going to so badly need, not only for Podium Hill, which turn 1 is, but the hard braking down the hill into turn 2. So, Christoph with a 10-second success penalty, and Matt Whitburn with a 15-second penalty. You're going to have to outthink the competitors of our Diamonds as they line up side by side, looking towards the line. 1 hour worth of racing here at Brands Hatch in the dawn. And it is a cool 19 degrees. Lights on, lights on, lights on. And green lights, we are racing with Christoph trying to get the jump off the line. Diving to the inside line, and immediately Matt trying to carry the momentum. Swings around the outside of Podium Hill, and what a drive. He managed to get it all hooked in. Ryan immediately tapering in for 3rd place. Stephen Milano James goes right behind him. Ben Hicks, Ayath Musa, all trying to get going. Federico Calgero getting a little bit mobbed and thrown out wide. Turn 2 looking rather good as each of our drivers have had a stellar run. Pearson trying to close up on Whitburn. Rich Van Eed trying to figure out where to go as he keeps an eye on Ronald Priggs, who's got the inside line on Chris Wall, trying to get any little drive underneath him as they go out wide. And now it's falling into tow with one another. And Chris Wall trying to go and put a little bit of pressure. Sees David Broschke ahead of him. Gets early on the anchors. Try to bring the car through. And seeing they can hold Ronald Priggs back a little bit more as they continue on the drive. Paul Fenter all over the back of Mon Spritzer, recouping some of their previous battle from Kyalami. Now trying to see where it goes. Ben Hicks in the fight with Steve Milana James, trying to hunt down where to get on by. Left and right at the moment. Ryan Gell just ahead of him as they continue to move forward in this race. No one backing down from the fight. And each trying to see what's going to be a working order run here. Christoph Peterson right onto the back of Matt Whitburn as they set the fast lap time of the race. Matt with a 25.3 continues to grow and stretch open that gap a little bit more. Each of the drivers have had a phenomenal drive and no real big mistakes coming into play as we see Ulrich Diaga getting ahead of Matt Roth, who got all out of shape. He sees Christian Fengler hunting around Matt Gall at the moment, trying to see where he can go. Outbraked himself, and immediately there's the likes of Ulrich Diaga to get into the fight. But all the drivers, few scuffs, but no real big takedowns as they continue to keep it in formation. But it is our leaders, 0.2 of a second away from Ryan Gell at the moment, who leads out the Platinum Division and holds third place overall. He's got Stephen Milano, James, Ben Hicks, and Mahath Musa keeping the pressure on one another. And just off the back of them, Mon Spritzer and Paul Fenter, second and third of our Platinum Division. There's Stephen Milano, James trying to guard the outside line. And that is going to be very, very close. Ben Hicks trying to go around the outside. Late under braking in through the left hand. A little bit of a squeeze coming in from the Ferrari. Ben Hicks loses time. Mahath Musa boxed in behind Stephen Milano, James, and Ben Hicks could not get on by. That's our Mon Spritzer and Paul Fenter to go immediately into the back of them, pushing a little bit harder. And Stephen Milano, James now can start to clear the onslaught of BMWs behind him. Oh, in contact. Ben Hicks and Mahath Musa, slightest bit of contact there. Ben Hicks is able to save it, but Musa, that little clip on the rear, has now changed the whole race for the likes of Ben Hicks, who has to now fight his way through the field. Paul Fenter all onto the back of Mahath Musa, trying to see if he can clear on by. Not wanting to lose out too much time. He knows Mon Spritzer is too close for comfort at the moment in the Platinum Division. Late to the brakes, hooks the inside line. A little bit of elbow to elbow racing there. Paul Fenter continues to try and straight line it as they push on. Nose to tail. Immediately, Musa trying to go late on the brakes, getting just right into the back of Paul Fenter. Mon Spritzer stays in for the play, and there is David Broschke also now on the climb as he's got Chris Wall for a bit of company, seeing where exactly can he get the climb past. Ben Hicks also trying to get a little bit involved, and recovery drive for him after that little tag he had with Musa up ahead. So this little train building and building. Finn Van Hollen, however, into the dirt, getting overtaken by Lewis Knight, Ulrich Diaga, and David Robb as they come flying on by. Finn Van Hollen unfortunately caught out on the braking. Ben Hicks first into the pits, and it is going to be Ronald Priggs with a little bit of contact against Richard Van Eed. Ulrich Diaga, David Roth going and figuring out what they can do. Matt trying to get a little bit more drive. So what on earth happened to a couple of competitors? This is Richard Van Eed. He had Ronald Priggs around him, diving in towards the final corner. He had a little bit of a concertina effect, a little bit of a bump, and we'll get the car going a real jar. Oh, onto the dirt, a little bit of contact between the two of them. Nothing too bad from what I could see, just light moments coming from each of those competitors, and able to keep going. Christoph Rolotsky, on the other hand, landing up in the dirt, and he had a bit of a moment on the 72. Let's quickly take a look at what happened. Trying to catch up. Oh, Calgero getting pushed out of the way, and there was just a near miss for the Aston Martin as he now tried to get the drive back in. A little bit late on the brakes, and there's a contact coming in from one of our BMWs. And that might have been Christian Fingler just giving him a little bit of a heave-ho at that point. And now trying to continue on his drive. Martin Spritzer, side by side, against David Roschke, gets the overtake done. And now looking to try and clear through. Chris Wall trying to follow suit as well. But David has got the Mustang and is incredibly quick. And Chris Wall trying to hold the apex through Podium Hill. Gets the drive. Forces David Roschke to just tap those brakes ever so slightly. Not to run off circuit. And Chris Wall trying to keep the Aston Martin right there in for the mix. Gets up into 8th place. And now needs to try and clear the likes of David Roschke as fast as possible. He runs out a bit wide. Mayath Musa up against Paul Fenton, trying to see where he can go. Lewis Knight, Daniel Mutsuma, and Diego Matos all fighting it out. Diego losing out 2 places at the moment, and he's got Rich Van Heat for a little bit of company as Daniel goes up on the inside of Lewis Knight. And now trying to open up just a little bit of breathing room. Lewis trying to figure out what can he do. Is racing in the gold division and currently sitting in the likes of 4th place in the gold division. He has to worry about Diego Matos, who is all over the back of him. Richard Van Heed looking to try clear on by, and that's Christian Finglo once again trying to put his nose a little bit forwards, trying to scout if he can get any way by. Those that have completed their first pit stop. Ben Hicks in 24th position after his little bit of contact, still trying to push it a bit harder, thinking outside the box here. Was losing time in the train, pulled into the pits, got it done and dusted. Now going to be trying to race it through to the end. Martin Spritzer having to guard the inside line against Chris Wall, who swaps around to the back of him, trying to see where he can come on by. David Roschke a little bit too quick into the corner, lost out a lot of drive. Now trying to go around the outside into turn 2, bring it back towards the inside line. Unfortunately, the undercut didn't work out in his favor. Diego Matos into the pits, trying to get his pit stop sorted out and continue on with the race. Chris Wall with Joshua's colors going and having a bit of fun and going and carrying the spirit of Joshua Freeman at the moment, wanting to keep into the top 10, something that we've seen multiple times from Mr. Freeman in his illustrious sim racing career. Mahath Musa and Paul Fenter still continuing to fight it out between one another. See where on earth they can get the step up through the field. Martin Spritzer, Chris Wall, David Roschke still in a very close fight. Real Jar has got Paul Whitburn on the back of him. Rich Van Heed now dealing with Christian Fingler as well. Diego Matos trying to get his pit stop done and dusted, and some serious work being done to the car as Ben Hicks continues to circulate. He is now lying 30 seconds off the back of the field, and looking to try and close it up as much as possible. Martin Spritzer getting absolutely mugged at the moment by Chris Wall and by likes of David, who is going absolutely hammer and tongs. Chris looks towards the inside line, couldn't quite get the drive. Martin trying to give it everything he can, late on the brakes, seeing where he can go. Mahath Musa clearing past the likes of Paul Fenter, who is fighting it out for second in class. Now hoping that Mahath Musa is going to tow him along a little bit closer to Ryan Gell, who holds third overall, ahead of Stephen Milana James and both Mahath Musa. So it is a wild, wild moment for our drivers to think outside the box as we getting closer to the first 10 minutes of the race being completed. 2 pit stops being done by Ben Hicks and Diego Matos, the only 2 that decide to go for an earlier stop and hoping that they can push themselves just a bit later into the race. Borschke, Chris Wall and Paul Fenter all trying to think what can they do to move forward at this time of the game. David Roth going and starting from last place is up into 17th, and now keeping the pressure on Christian Fingler ahead. But it's Matt Whitburn that sets the fastest lap time of the race yet again with a 1:22.8 that last time round, and now opening up nearly a second to Christoph Peterson, who holds on to that second place. Going to be scratching his head of how can he close the distance, where can he go. Remember, they both have success penalty pit stops that they need to do. One for Whitburn is 15 seconds of no work on the car before he can get going. Christoph Peterson is 10 seconds. So absolutely incredible stuff. Drivers trying to figure out what is going to be the next game plan here. How are they going to move forward? And where can they get the climb? to launch their way around Brands Hatch as everyone starts to settle down reasonably now to try and keep it all together. David Roschke trying to close the gap to Chris Wall, seeing where he can go. But David Roth getting a little bit of an off-circuit excursion, and that is Ulrich Diaga and the likes of Diego Matos running into a bit of a problem. Let's quickly take a look at what happened there. So David Roth gets overtaken by Diego Matos up on the inside. Ulrich Diaga trying to go and battle his way through. Roth going and defending his line, holds the inside, and Matos tries to turn back in. There's a contact. He didn't quite see that Ulrich Diaga was coming up to him, and Ulrich, unfortunately, didn't see the door starting to close till it was right on top of his nose. Fortunately, getting him turned around and now trying to pick his way back up. Ulrich Diaga, who was lying in 19th position, chasing down David Roth. Diego Matos, who was a lap down, now going and landing up, turning that race on its head, seeing what he can do to try and pull it back through the brink. David Roth keeping the pressure on to move forward, but it's David Roschke and Chris Wall who are fighting it out for the final spots on the podium, as they need to really close the distance to Martin Spritzer. Holds on to third place. Paul Fenter second place, and Ryan Joel holds on first place for our Platinum Division. Diamond is Matt Whitburn, Christoph Peterson, and Stephen Milano James. Ronald Priggs, Rule Jar, and Paul Whitburn hold on to the top three for our Gold Division. But with that being said, they're also fighting on-track positioning. And Daniel Mutsuma trying to climb the ranks as well to get past the likes of Paul Whitburn, who got round him, and now trying to see what on earth can he do in the proper racing to try and fight around the likes of Paul Whitburn in the Rainbow Sparkles Unicorn, the Rainbow Sparkles Racing at the moment. Rich Van Heed dealing with Lewis Knight as Matt Whitburn, yet again the fastest lap time of the race. He is not slowing down, and nearly a 2-second gap pulled to Christoph Peterson, trying to break away as much as possible before he gets into the pit stops. Lewis Knight, who's trying to deal with the likes of Rich Van Heed at the moment as they continue to fight on. Daniel Mutsuma keeps the pressure on Paul Whitburn, doing everything he can and swinging around. Both McLarens so evenly matched in terms of setup that there is no distinct difference in cornering or in straight line at this point. They're trying to figure out what is going to be the best plan for both of them, and at the moment Whitburn is just driving a solid race. Down the gears they go. Daniel trying to figure out where he can get the momentum at this point as he tucks into the slipstream, looks towards the inside line. A quick dab of the brakes, and you can see a few times just touch on the brakes just to get the rear to rotate underneath him. Instead of trail braking at this point, he is literally just going and stabbing the brakes multiple times, get that rear to kick out a little bit, get the nose a little bit more pointy, and he is trying to cope with what understeer that the car actually has underneath him. You can see tap the whole way through, on off those brakes, instead of a consistent press. That is a bit of a show to the setups as he's trying to get himself going, and that's Ronald Priggs, unfortunately, off into the dirt, losing out the drive. Ronald Priggs now going to be going and biting the dust a little bit more. Let's quickly take a look what happened to him as we jump on board. Let's go to his helmet cam, running out a bit wide. The Honda NS6 going and showing what it can do. Fourth gear, down to third. Oh, the rear just snapped out underneath him. Bit of a pirouette, pointing straight. Was able to get going yet again. Had to wait for the field to come through before rejoining, but he's down the order. Daniel Mutsuma gets the pass on Paul Whitburn. A little bit of an argy-bargy way to get by, but a bit of sharing of paint here at Brands Hatch is something that all the drivers fully expect. Christoph Roloski and Matt Carl fighting it out a little bit further back to Los Pantos and Manos and the Cyber Racing team going and trying to get a little bit of a climb up. Federico Calgero, who was part of an earlier spin, now trying to get himself back through the pack as well. The number 50 having to work that little bit harder and see where exactly it goes on. Let's actually take a look at what happened to Federico Calgero that got him into the situation in the first place, as he did have Christoph Rolotsky behind him, trying to launch his way by. Sees Diego Matos. There's Rich Van Heed coming on by, down into turn 2. little bit of contact against Diego, throwing Diego into Lewis Knight, and that's what spun him around, having to claw his way from the back of the pack. Just to give us a little bit of an insight of what's gone on and how drivers have been pushing that little bit more in through the race. Dave Broschke, Chris Wall continue trying to fight on. Lewis Knight and Ronald Priggs as well, doing what they can. A bit of a slide out for Ronald Priggs as he gets out of shape again. That's allowed Lewis Knight to really close the distance, and he's brought Rich Van Heed for a little bit of company as well, seeing where exactly can he get launching his way through. Here at Brands Hatch, track temperature starting to increase, going up to 20 degrees at the moment, seeing that this is going to be a wild one. Krzysztof Rolotsky opting to get into the pit lane. We haven't hit the halfway mark as yet, but 3 of the drivers have opted to try and get their car sorted out, with Ben Hicks and Diego Matos being our 2 of the most earliest stops within its first 10 minutes. Ben Hicks was first one through. Now he's trying to get on the gamble to move through the field. Did get 32 seconds, so that is a full replacement of tyres and fuel on the car. He is just trying to fight his way through, so wasn't worrying about just running a bit of a short sprint. He's going and pushing a little bit more. Diego had some work to his car as it's off circuit once again for Ronald Priggs. Going out wide, he loses out to both Lewis Knight and Rich Van Heed as he rejoins, but that is just absolutely killing him every step of the way. Honda just getting too much rotation and maybe just having to straighten the steering up, lift and get onto the brakes gently instead of turning at the same time, just trying to minimize the aggravation that rear end does not want to stick with him, having to try and figure out the next best step to move forward here tonight. David Broschke trying to move forward, and bit of a mistake coming in. That is Ulrich de Jager and Finn van Hollen getting caught out. Not what you want to have for both drivers. Let's take a look at what happened. Ulrich de Jager comes through the final corner, a lot of drive, and sees Finn van Hollen keeping close to the wall. Both drivers side by side, and Van Hollen leaving no room for likes of Ulrich de Jager, slides the car out, and that's going to be the tyres absolutely in pain after that little bit of a slide and compromising his drive. Ulrich de Jager not going to be too thrilled on that. Will be trying to pick up the pieces of his race and try and see it through to the end. David Roth and Christian Fingler continue to keep pressure on one another as they fight their way around. David Roth fighting from last place. As we do see Matt Gall unfortunately losing the rear. That is coming out of our 4th right-hander in the infield, and he loses out to Ulrich de Jager, able to save the car just moments before the wall. David Broschke and Paul Venter pull into the pit. Raul Jod, Daniel Mutzmo, and Paul Whitburn, along with Lewis Knight, Rich Van Heed, all continuing to go that extra mile. So Venter and Broschke deciding they're going to rather get into the pits and sacrifice their run, fighting in the top 3 at the moment. Looking for the long game. They're going to hope to come out ahead of this man over here, Ben Hicks, who leads on the charge for those that have done their first pit stop. Matt Gall will be the next one and going clear on through. This is going to be Paul Venter and Dave Broschke's time to see whether they have done it to make the right call for the undercut. And it's going to be Ben Hicks clearing Paul Venter and Dave Broschke. Paul Venter pulling out of the pits. Dave Broschke also gets himself going as they launch out of pit lane and immediately see the likes of Matt Whitburn coming herring towards him. He's 2.6 seconds adrift from Christoph Peterson, who holds on to 2nd place and continues to open up the gas as they go through. Paul Venter had to go and serve his success penalty. Took out a lot of time to think about. Rich Van Heed up against Lewis Knight, trying to see where they go. David Roth, unfortunately, into the dirt as he tries to keep himself back on and going. Hasn't been having an easy time out here. Started in 24th, has climbed to 15th, and he has been trying to steadily get into the top 10, but it's not turning into an easy run at the moment. Matt continues his charge. Christoph Peterson, along with Ryan Gell, hold on to the top 3 overall. Stephen Milano, James Mahith Musa, Martin Spritzer, all trying to give it everything they can, with Chris Wall trying to close up. He sees Krzysztof Rolotsky ahead of him and looking to try and clear as fast as possible. Rulja dealing with Daniel Mutsuma as they fight out for overall track position. Rulja leading out the gold division drivers, with Daniel Mutsuma running 4th place of the Platinums, wanting to clear through. And that's going to be a little bit of help coming in for Paul Whitburn, who utilizes the slipstream of Daniel Mutsuma as it stands. Rich Fanier getting ahead of Lewis Knight. Now looking to open up the gap a little bit further here at Brands Hatch as they cycle through. 15 laps completed thus far on one of our shortest circuits of the calendar. And the drivers now starting to feel there isn't any room to breathe on this track. And it becomes one of these hard-working circuits. An hour on this circuit is the equivalent to an hour and 40 minutes racing around Kyalami or around Barcelona or even Spa. This circuit requires you constantly on the steering, getting ready to turn very, very short straights with hard braking zones to try and bring you back into fray. And it's a total rhythm circuit where you cannot lose your rhythm, and very, very difficult to get passes done. David Boschke trying to keep on the gas, getting closer and closer to Ben Hicks. 10 seconds up the road. Ben Hicks trying to see where he can get the drive, as Matt Gall will be the next one to clear on through and will be wanting to keep that pressure on. Now, a bit of an early stop from him within the first 10 minutes of the race was a bit of a gamble for the likes of Ben Hicks, and something we have seen last season where he was actually fighting for the Diamond Championship. Unfortunately, was out for majority of the races this season, returning in Kyalami to take the fight, and was fighting up against Christian Fingler for a long time before eventually freed up to go racing with his own. Ronald Priggs and Lewis Knight trying to see where they can go, but Christian Fingler takes the inside line on Ronald Priggs, who nearly has that rear end step out underneath him yet again, and Christian Fingler getting a little bit more breathing room. So Ronald, a little bit more comfortable, got the car sorted out, now trying to figure out where he can go. It's the McLaren time of Paul Whitburn and Daniel Mutsuma to keep the pressure on the Ferrari. 2.96 of a real jar. Fast lap time in the race is a Matt Whitburn with a 1:22.8. That still stands, but we do have the 7:55 of Diego Matos turned around and losing out as he has to wait for the field to come on through. Bit of contact coming in between Ben Hicks and Matt Gall. They're going and rubbing paint against one another, but no real big mistakes from the two of them. Ronald Priggs into the pit lane now. Will be keeping an eye on Ben Hicks coming on by. Matt Gall, unfortunately, will need to try and get himself into the box, and he's opting not to do so. He's going to go that extra wide. Real job. Oh, side-by-side contact against Whitburn, trying to get past Paul and defend his line. He just got mobbed by Daniel Mutsuma. Now Paul around the outside, very, very late, trying to keep it on the marbles. A real job managing to maintain his position at the moment. Gets a very poor exit, and this is going to be Paul Whitburn keeping up the drive, seeing where he can go as we jump on board with the McLaren, trying to push that a little bit harder down the gears into into third gear. Carries the momentum through. Got a lot of grip to deal with there, but just not quite getting the acceleration on the 2.96 ahead of him. Tries to carry a lot of drive through the final corner, but the understeer creeps in, slows him up, and that allows Real Jar to open up the distance yet again and see where he can go. David Boschke holds on second of those that have done the pit stop, along with Paul Fenter, still trying to close up the gap to him. 8.5 seconds back. And that is an absolute big impact as Boschke and Fenter, same class. Ooh, Paul Whitburn once again getting a little bit of oversteer as he got too early onto the gas, and had to fish for that little bit of grip underneath him. Lythmusser trying to close up the distance. Sees the likes of Stephen Milano James making mistakes, landing up into the grass, and now incredibly slow. Now, what has been a 2.5 second gap cut down to 0.7, but also Chris Wall up against Martin Spritzer at the moment as they fight for second and third in class. Spritzer hoping to keep the momentum up, and his run will have a 5 second stop that you have to contend with as well. Seeing Christoph Rolotsky just ahead of him will be one to consider. Ulrich Dialga into pit lane, trying to get his pit stop out of the way. But for the likes of Krzysztof Rolotsky, down in 23rd position, as we do have a retirement, unfortunately. And there is Chris Wall going into the pits, getting himself sorted out. So 24 cars started this race, and we are down a vehicle. That is an absolute gut punch of note. And just seeing drivers not able to see it through to the end is not what we want to see. We want to see everyone trying to fight their way through. Paul Whitburn trying to get past Rule Jar at the moment. Can't quite get it all worked out in his favor, and instantly gets feeding back onto the throttle, trying to see where can he clear on by at the moment. Jar keeps it all together as they open up the throttle. Chris Wall and Calgero continue to keep each other busy. Late on the brakes, trying to look for an inside line. Can't quite get it. We'll have to wait that little bit more. Chris Wall, Federico Calgero into the pits. Means Ben Hicks up into the top 15 and pushes a little bit harder to see if he can go and battle out. Chris Wall coming out of pit lane behind the likes of David Broschke. He will slot in ahead of Paul Fenter to give him a hand. But Paul Whitburn, side by side with the Rule Jar, going and making a very clean pass there. Went up on the inside, straightened the wheel up, got the drive to work out underneath him and continued his way through. Ooh, a little bit of a step coming out of that fourth right-hander. And the McLaren just not too happy feeding on the power that early. Ninth Musa all over the back of Stephen Milano James as they continue to fight it out through turn 2, making the way to turn 3. Long left-hander to keep the power on. And there's going to be the understeer, the BMW, that kills him on the drive. Daniel Mutsua, along with Rule Jar, into the pits, getting their pit stops done and dusted, and will be leaving the rest of the field to consider as our top 10 yet to do their final stops of the race, and will be scratching the head. David Roth, is going to be our 11th car that hasn't done his pit stop. Finn Van Holland deciding he's going to go the extra mile as well. So top 12 still yet to do their final stops, and they all taking a look at where Ben Hicks is actually filtering as he comes across the line. He will take on to 13th position and is now 19 seconds adrift of Finn Van Holland. Slowly but surely, he is starting to bring himself back into contention for drivers and seeing how they're going to go. For David Roth at the moment, he's pushing that a little bit harder. He wants to see if he can clear likes of Broschke, Wall, Mutsma and Fenter, who are all fighting out in the platinum positions. Christian Fengler keeping the pressure onto Lewis Knight. Will be going and taking a look to Rul Jia, who's down in 18th position as the guideline for the Gold Division drivers. And I think he's just waiting for the likes of Lewis Knight of the Good Smile Racing team, now going and racing in the Remember Josh colours as they keep the pressure on Rich Van Heed. Lewis Knight and Christian Fengler running second and third in the gold class. Keep an eye on Richard, who runs third in the platinum class, trying to see where exactly can they get the drive on him and when are they going to get into the pits. However, for Lewis Knight, he is not going quite aggressive for those passes. He knows that Fengler has got a 10-second penalty deficit he has to do to try and get him sorted out. And if Lewis Knight pits with Christian Fengler right behind him, he's got 10 seconds over Christian Fengler, and his only concern has to come in for the likes of Finn Van Holland a little bit further back. But Paul Whitburn, who is running first to the Gold Division, has opened up a bit of space. He has got 3.8 seconds ahead of Richard Van Heet. That's holding back Lewis Knight and Christian Fengler. And for Paul, he's got no success penalties he's got to worry about. He's going to focus on just getting that drive absolutely perfect time after time and ensuring that he can move forward as quick as possible. So the gaps are getting a little bit bigger between drivers. Christian Fengler and Lewis Knight are one of our closest battles on circuit with Rich Van Heet. Maithmus and Stephen Milano James 1.3 seconds off one another as they continue to go on. But the rest of the field that have done their pit stops are just biding their time now, waiting as we hit the halfway mark here at Brands Hatch for our round 6 of the ERA Sunday Championship. Lewis Knight and Fengler continue to fight it out, with Fengler no room to get on by. no room to go clear. He looks towards the outside line. Can he get it under braking? He's going to absolutely launch it on the end, around the outside, trying to find a bit of grip. Yeah, Lewis Knight says not going to happen, buddy. Gets early on the throttle, gets that little bit of drive, and moves forward. Federico Calgera on the back of them is a back marker, but seeing he's got the best seat in the house as Lewis Knight loses out the drive. Fengler kept the pressure on, allowed for it to eventually bottle up and spray over as Lewis Knight now slots into that top 10 and will look in the rearview mirror, seeing David Roth, the Fear the Bones driver, closing up at a rate of knots. Finn Van Hollen into the pits. Chris Wall, Paul Fenter, and Daniel Mutsma going to be quite happy on that one. Finn Van Hollen going and trying to see where he comes out in the gold division and will be the first of those that have done the, at the moment, that stays pit stop, unless Arul Jar comes out and gets ahead of him, and he does, coming into podium corner. Ronald Priggs does the same as well. Christoph Orlowski swings around, and Finn Van Hollen, unfortunately, falling down the order. Fourth of those in the gold division that have done their first, well, have done their pit stop, and it's going to be an interesting time indeed. Oh, Richard Van Heed turned around, and unfortunately, the 131 driver running into a bit of a problem. Let's take a look what happened. So you had Christian Fengler on the back of him. Lewis Knight right there in the mix as well. Rich Van Heed trying to see where he can go for the defense into the final corner. Fengler trying to go around the underneath him, and there's a contact as Richard was trying to slow down to get into pit lane. Fengler gave him a little bit of a heave-ho that turned him around, costing him some time. Mayath Musa in and out through the pits, trying to get himself sorted out. We'll see the likes of Ryan Gell out ahead of the rest of the pack, is now holding his line in 9th position. Ben Hicks, after taking a pit stop early on in the first 10 minutes, is up into the top 10, going and lurking 2 seconds behind Ryan Gell, who leads out the Platinums that have done their first pits, well, has done their pit stop, and now trying to see it through to the end. They have to really work incredibly hard here to see how it works out. Matt Whitburn, Stephen Milano James into the pits, trying to get themselves sorted out. Christoph Peterson going to go an extra mile here, looking for the overcut. Mon Spritzer going the same route, trying to get the overcut and try and keep ahead of David Roth and Ryan Gell at the moment in class. The question is, where is Paul Whitburn? There is Paul Whitburn, who leads out our gold division. He's going to continue to go. Christian Fengler and Lewis Knight are going to continue to go that little bit longer. David Roth clearing on by, still yet to do his final pit stop, but it's Matt Whitburn out onto the circuit, getting lined up into this in GTR at the moment of Matt. Dives up on the inside, gets a pass done, and now Matt Whitburn trying to get away from Matt Guile as the two Matts go and fight it out. Ryan Gell getting ahead of the pack. Will filter right behind Matt Whitburn. Ben Hicks keeping the pressure on him. Steve Milano James trying to see where he can get on by, wanting to get a little bit closer to Matt Whitburn at the moment, who has done a stellar job. Finn Van Hollen, a little bit of venturing through the dirt, coming out. That's fourth right-hander in through the centre of the circuit. It's caught quite a few drivers out as they try and push a little too hard on the way through. Christoph Peterson keeps on the momentum, and he is part of 6 drivers yet to go into the pits, and he's the only remaining diamond driver that needs to go into pit lane. That is how much he's in for a world of hurts at the moment. He's 39 point, he's about 37 seconds away from Martin Spritzer. Paul Whitburn dives into the pits, and he is going to be getting himself sorted. He hands over the lead of the race to Christian Fengler, who continues to come on by. Fengler's got a 10-second deficit. He needs to try and break. Lewis Knight into the pits. David Roth into the pits. And that leaves our top 3 first in all 3 classes. Peterson, Spritzer, and Fengler still need to do their final pit stop of the race. And this is now turning into who has got enough room. Peterson into the pits to do his pit stop. Remember, he's got 10 seconds he's going to have to burn to try and keep ahead of Matt Whitburn at the moment, who goes through the likes of turn 3 and turn 4, trying to get a little bit more drive, seeing if he can try and get a little bit closer to Christoph Peterson. Mon Spritzer in second place along with Christian Fengler, running the same idea for the track tool team, seeing where exactly they're going to get that little bit of a run to try and hold their top of the order. Spritzer wanting to take the victory after a monumental fight he had at Kyalami, coming in third place. He wants to make it a first place here at Brands Hatch, as we do see Christoph Peterson still waiting in pit lane, patiently waiting at this point. Frustrating. You can hear the foot tapping up against that brake, saying, come on, come on, come on, let me go. Fengler into the pits as well, as Matt Whitburn comes launching around the final corner and looking towards the top. He sees that there's an opportunity and overtakes Christoph Peterson, who's just left pit lane and now needs to go onto the attack with those cold tires with 24 minutes to go. Fengler waiting for his opportunity to get going. He's cleared his success penalty, and now it's just a bit of work done to the car, hoping to get ahead of the likes of Paul Whitburn, who leads out the class in the gold division. And that leaves Mon Spritzer, the last of the drivers, to do their final pit stop here tonight. He wants to keep ahead of Ryan Gell at the moment. He's 26 seconds. Oh, big mistake coming in. Ronald Priggs getting involved in a bit of an accident there. The 371 car going and landing up. Almighty pain. What on earth? As he come out of the fourth right-hander, he goes and spots the cars ahead of him, so he's into the dirt, twisted round. There's David Roth, there's Christoph Rolotsky. Rolotsky gets tagged, and there's Finn van Hollen. So Rolotsky getting tagged on the rear, landing up, losing a bit of time. Finn van Hollen trying to figure out where he can make up some drive, as Rolotsky keeps the pressure onto David Roth at the David Roth and Christian Fengler, who had to take evasive maneuvers on that pass. So drivers doing what they can. Peterson and Whitburn now sitting 0.3 of a second onto one another. Peterson pushing harder and harder, both not taking a new set of, took a new set of tires, and now fight it out for lead of their race. Once Mon Spritzer pulls into the pits, he's going to lose out the lead of the race. It's going to be handed back to Whitburn and Peterson to continue on the drive. So far, Whitburn is holding the fast lap time of the race. That's a single point that he will have, plus getting full points for coming in first place is going to be absolutely devastating for Christoph Peterson as he tries to sling it around the outside. Ben Hicks fighting against Stephen Milano James. They're trying to hold on to third place in the run with David Broschke and Mahath Musa, who are battling out. David Broschke, second of those in the platinum class, have done their pit stop. Mon Spritzer into the pits. Ryan Gell is going to be the next one to see his way through, coming through the fourth right-hander, and he will be now hard braking onto the left-hander, seeing whether he can get it going and getting ahead of Mon Spritzer. Took the gamble of the overcut through the rest of the field. He drops into third place. Matt Whitburn and Christoph Peterson continue on their drive, nose to tail, trying to figure out what is going to be the best opportunity for them, how they're going to move forward. It's all eyes to the front of the field, all eyes to who's going to be able to get the run here, as we do see Stephen Milano James all over the back of Ben Hicks, trying to get on by the Ferrari 296 with an immense amount of cornering. Now trying to fight out against BMW, which is working oh so well. Hooks it around the outside, no drive, and it's going to be Ben Hicks that walks him out to the fringe of the circuit. That's Milano James into the wall, lost the drive, and now having to try and pick up the pieces. That's going to allow Mahath Musa to get a little bit closer after a mistake and see where exactly he can stay in for the drive. Christian Fengler, David Roth keep the pressure on one another as they move forward, but it's Whitburn, Knight and Jar that hold on to first, second and third in gold division. Broschke, Wall and Spritzer trying to close up the run, but it's Ryan Gell, Broschke and Wall that currently hold out the top three for our platinum division. Whitburn, Peterson and Hicks hold on to the top three for our diamond division here at Brands Hatch, with 20 minutes to go on a very, very special week for the likes of Joshua Friedman where each of the drivers are giving it their absolute all, pushing that little bit harder, seeing where exactly they can get the momentum on one another and looking to carry the spirit of Joshua across the line, especially here at ERA on a Remembrance Week 2 years ago. Joshua went and crossed the finish line in the world, going and leaving the family behind, but at the same time leaving positive memories, legacy of note amongst the world of ERA and many, many others in the world of sim racing. Friends, foes, rivals and all, he has gone and created an absolute legacy that everyone strives to have. And this is what we get to see between drivers, as it's a huge look on the inside for Peterson, trying to get the drive on the likes of Matt Whitburn, who continues to just hold his line at the moment, saying it's not going to happen. And Peterson loses into the dirt, outbraked himself. Whitburn's got a little bit of breathing room, and now trying to check out away from the fight, trying to go and open up distance. Christian Fengler late on the brakes, trying to keep away from David Roth at the moment. Finn van Hollen up against Christoph Rolotsky, trying to get that little bit more of a jump. Let's take a look at who's gained the most and lost the most. Well, gained the most has to go to David Roth, up 8 positions from where he started. He started 24th and now continuing on the drive. However, biggest loss goes to Ronald Priggs, who started in 10th and is now down into 21st, trying to pick up the pieces of his race to try and save some points for the championship. Stephen Lana James hunting to try and get into that 3rd place after a little bit of argy-bargy moment coming in with Ben Hicks into turn 2, and right up against that rear spoiler, seeing where exactly can he get the drive on the BMW. He's got the rotation to do it. He gets right behind Ben Hicks, but just can't put the power down to work out in his favor. We'll have to wait little by little, and that slowly but surely is bringing Mahath Musa a little bit closer into the attack as well. He's 2.5 seconds back. Quick lift, a look, and once again Ben Hicks just able to get that BMW up ahead of Stephen Milano James, as he just can't position the car to get the overtake. He's now got the run, but there's no room through these right-handers. Through the one, both running off into the dirt, trying to settle themselves. Now in through the second. On the brakes, well turning, bring it back, looking rather clean. And now it's late to the brakes, into the left-hander. And Stephen Milano James looking to try and go underneath Ben Hicks. Can he carry it through? Drag racing to the final corner. Ben Hicks going and closing the door through the final right-hander. Stephen Milano James trying to go for the under. Unfortunately loses out the drive. Now needs to try and keep it as tight as he can to the wall. Try and shorten the distance into Podium Hill. Ben Hicks around the outside's got grip, but can he keep it? Loses out, goes off into the dirt. Stephen Milano James looks for the inside. Had to cut back around the outside. Swings it door to door yet again. Both drivers not backing down from this. And Stephen Milano James not losing the drive. Gets ahead and holds on to 4th place and now takes 3rd in the class. But Ben Hicks looking to come back in retaliation. Look towards the inside on the left-hander. Lost out the drive. Mahath Musa starting to close up the distance. Lewis Knight up against Paul Whitburn as they fight out for 1st in class. And Lewis Knight, remembering Josh, wanting to get ahead of the Rainbow Sparkles Racing, Good Smile Racing team of Lewis Knight, trying to see where he goes. And Ryan Gell unfortunately lost control of the car, trying to get himself restarted and get going. We'll have Stephen Milano James and Ben Hicks closing up at a rate of knots to him. And what a turn of events for Ryan Gell. He was keeping it consistent, won't lose track position, as he doesn't have to worry too much about David Roschke and Chris Wall, who are a little bit further away from him and will be just focusing on their drive for 2nd and 3rd in running order. But it is 1st and 2nd of our gold division of Whitburn and Lewis Knight. Finn van Hollen having a good go at Christoph Rolotsky for 17th and 18th, and so far running 5th and 6th in their race respectively. Ulrich Diaga, the South African, fighting up against fellow South African Richard van Eed. These two know each other rather well. One from Project Vapor and one from Griffin Sim Racing Team continue to brawl it out and see who exactly can lay into the win, who can get the run. As Paul holds the inside down the main straight, moves back to the outside line, and has he compromised himself through Podium Hill? Lewis Knight's going to have a look into turn 2, runs out of room, has to switch around, and now Paul getting the momentum, slows it down on the apex, is able to get himself that little bit more of a charge. Going to be quite happy to move forward at the moment. Late on the brakes, a drive-through penalty coming in for Ben Hicks, and that, unfortunately, will take him out in the chances to go for third place. 1.8 seconds ahead of him. Unfortunately, Ben Hicks will get a drive-through penalty, and Mahath Musa will have an easy drive through. And say thank you very, very much in doing so. So a quick dive in the pits for Ben Hicks. Mahath Musa free to run now, as he will inherit that 5th place overall at the moment, and 4th in the running order. 13 minutes to go and fights all over. Christoph Peterson and Matt Whitburn brawling it out, and it looks like the Whitburn family can't give too much information to one another because their mirrors are absolutely filled while they fight for first in their respective positions. Peterson, the Fear the Bones driver, our multi-defending champion, is absolutely on a brawl at the moment with Matt Whitburn, forcing him to get a little bit quicker. Try and see where he can go. Christoph Rolotsky and Finn van Holland running into a bit of a problem as both drivers losing out a little bit of drive. What on earth happened to them? Let's quickly go and take a look at Christoph Rolotsky and Finn van Holland. This is Finn on the outside in the Porsche. Christoph Rolotsky trying to see where he can go. And it's Rolotsky, a little bit of a tap on the dirt, brings it back. Finn van Holland carry the momentum, a little bit of a touch into the rear, and both into the dirt. Both landing up with a problem. Another coming in, and this was the fight for first place. Paul Whitburn and Lewis Knight. What on earth happened to them? Working their way around the circuit. Paul Whitburn runs out wide. Lewis Knight going for the inside line into turn 2. Gets squeezed, and the contact comes into play. Whitburn caught up against the wall. Lewis Knight was waiting up, and that has now changed the entire race for them, as Arul Jar, who was wide, who was very, very far back, is now up into first, Lewis Knight into second, and Christian Fengler up into third place. And unfortunately for Paul Whitburn, thrown down in towards that top 20, getting overtaken by Christoph Rolotsky, Ulrich Diaga, Finn van Holland, all clearing him, and now continue to figure out their way. David Roth looking to try and get past Christian Fengler, not fighting for class position at the moment. And Christian just waiting to see where he goes. Peterson runs out a bit wide. Whitburn trying to see where exactly can he keep the drive as they make their way through the final corner. 11 minutes left in this race, and the whole race getting turned on its head in the different classes. Ryan Gell still leads out the Platinum. Whitburn, likes of Matt Whitburn, leads out our Diamond. Arul Jar currently leads out our Gold division here at ERA for round 6 of our season 16 on a very, very special week, remembering our driver of Joshua Freeman, who has been an absolute star and part of our winning class of note. Ulrich Diaga and Christoph Rolotsky keeping each other rather busy and seeing where they can go. David Roth not able to close the distance to Christian Fengler as yet, who currently holds on to that top 3. Last thing he wants to have is losing out that little bit of drive to Rolotsky and get filtered in for the overtake. However, he's got to be rather clever on where is he going to see Roth through if he wants to lift and let him by. Otherwise, he just needs to keep his foot firmly in it. Christoph Rolotsky will have to also keep up the momentum. This is Christoph Peterson, who's trying to get the run on Matt Whitburn, and both drivers so evenly matched at the moment, not yielding, and all moments coming in. That is a huge one for Peterson, and that was Paul Whitburn in towards the wall, and unfortunately collected the likes of Peterson. Peterson getting absolutely knackered off the wall. Matt Whitburn lifting to try and allow Peterson to rejoin into the fight for first place. But what a moment coming in for the cars. Now let's quickly take a look at it as Paul Whitburn was going and giving it everything he can, loses the car, collects the wall, comes back onto the road. It rolls back into the side of Christoph Peterson, and that went and brought him down the order. He was stuck in the middle of the circuit for such a long time. Matt Whitburn lifted to allow Christoph Peterson to get back onto him. But I think Christoph going and sporting a fair amount of damage to his car won't be in an easy run. From Paul Whitburn leading out the class, it has all gone wrong, and he is in pit lane getting major repair work to his car and has influenced the race for first in the Diamond Division. Also some scary moments for the rest of our drivers, having to dart around him, trying to figure out how to get clear. And what a moment it has been. Ulrich Diaga and Rolotsky fight against one another for the likes of 4th position in our gold division. What was originally a top 5, well, now it is into 4th and 5th. They are now trying to keep up the momentum up against Rich van Heed, seeing there is a bit of time. But unfortunately, with the racing at the moment, with very little time left on the board, there's not a lot to go. Paul Fenter holds on for the likes of 4th place. He's got Martin Spritzer all over the back of him, and Martin getting a phenomenal drive out of the corner. Paul getting all out of shape, having to get elbows out at the moment, seeing if he could try and defend the line. Spritzer says not going to happen on there. He's going to have to wait that little bit more, and it is going to be Paul Fenter yet again to go and lead out through the corners. The question is, that rear end on the Aston Martin not looking as put together as what he once had it, and now trying to see if he can hold back the likes of the Track Tool team on Martin Spritzer. It's time to utilize all that speed juice that he has got underneath him to try and pull the gap ahead of Martin Spritzer in the BMW. Still a stellar drive coming in by our drivers. Whitburn with major repair work needed to his car after the contact against the wall and that rollback. Ulrich Diaga and Rolotsky trying to figure out where they can get the momentum going. And another little fight that's starting to build up. Federico Calgero and Ronald Priggs having a go at one another. And it looks like Priggs is going to have to defend quite a bit here, as Calgero hunting for every little pass, trying to see where he could take the Cyber Racing McLaren to get ahead of the Black Lung Bandits that has just had a terrible run. And we're getting reports coming in from Paul Whitburn of what exactly went on. He had a huge cramp in the left leg that forced him unable to really bottom out that brake, and that's why he landed up sliding. So due to a medical problem, he was not able to get enough pressure onto the brake, and that is why he landed up getting thrown in, and hopefully can be able to get that leg sorted out just to see it through to the checkered flag. And definitely a tough one out there. When those cramps start to build up in your calves, it just absolutely takes away the power that you need to bottom out these load cell pedals that most of the drivers are running that require a significant amount of force. I mean, you've got a variety of 200 kilo load cells to deal with. Oh, David Roth going a little bit of a bump and a beautiful drift. He saves it. And that was a slight knock on Christian Fingler, but what a drift down the hill, a podium hill, and he's able to keep the car going. However, if you want to talk about having flat spots and feeling rather uncomfortable, well, those tires are going to be exactly that, completely overheated and now squared away. David Roth is going to have to take a bit of a cool down lap as Fingler trying to keep himself going. He does lift off the gas, allows David Roth to come through. Fingler, not wanting to lose out too much time, is currently third in class. He allows Roth to go, who in class is no one he needs to fight with. He's looking to try and get a little bit closer to the likes of Lewis Knight, who's 5.3 seconds up the road from David Roth, seeing if he could try and get that pass. Christoph Rolotsky sitting roughly 10-11 seconds back from Christian Fingler, seeing that there's no pressure ahead of him. Calgero, once again, looking on the inside of Ronald Priggs, can't get the drive at the moment, and it's trying to see what's going through as they battle their way around. Calgero and Priggs continue on their battle to see what's going to be done. 4 minutes remaining in this race. Whitburn clearing Christoph Peterson by 2.3 seconds at the moment. And Christoph just trying to keep himself in check. Ryan Gell holds on to first place in the Platinum. Stephen Milana James, third place in our Diamonds. Getting chased down by Mahayath Musa, 3 seconds back. David Broschke and Chris Wall hold on to second and third in the Platinum division. Ruljar, Lewis Knight, and Christian Fingler hold on to the top 3 of our Platinum division. One retirement during the course of this race, unfortunately, but still plenty of racing to go. And it looks like Paul Whitburn, unfortunately, might not be able to get back out on circuit after having his brake pedal not getting enough pressure on it due to a cramp in the left leg that takes it away, and unfortunately going and landing up with significant damage to the car. Now having to cheer on as he keeps an eye on Matt Whitburn, pushing that little bit more. His son hoping to go for a victory yet again and make it 2 for 2 so far on joining here at ERA, and has been fighting out tooth and nail at the moment. Christian Fingler all over the back of David Roth at the moment. Roth just not getting the drive in and out through the corners, and I think for Christian Fingler, realizing he's losing a bit of time here, now needs to keep the pressure on, saying, come on Roth, you got to either get going or you got to let me go. Losing a bit of time here, and with it being 6 seconds away from Lewis Knight, 3 minutes left in this race, you are costing me an absolute bit of pain. Martin Spritzer up against Paul Fenter for that top 4 in the Platinum division, and Spritzer, who is on a stellar drive. Paul Fenter and Spritzer got to fight out at Kyalami, with Spritzer coming in third, Fenter in second. Sebastian Luxon took the victory in the Aston Martin. He was not here tonight to go and defend it out, but Paul Fenter looking to try and carry as many points forward, same as Martin Spritzer. Daniel Mutsuma and Ben Hicks continue to fight out between one another. Ben Hicks wanting a top 10, but he needs to get around Daniel Mutsuma, and Finn van Hollen off the circuit, loses the drive, and now being overtaken. That was Matt coming on by. Looks like Christoph Rolotsky also putting the wheel off into the dirt, trying to push a little too hard and costing him a bit of drive. Martin Spritzer and Paul Fenter once again continue to battle their way through, seeing where on earth can they get going. Christoph Rolotsky, Ulrich Diaga still in a fight as well as we head into the final 2 minutes of the race. There's about 2 laps left in it for Matt Whitburn. 40 laps completed. He will be up to lap 42 by the end of this race, waiting for the clock to count down, not wanting to get his foot out the gas too much. He's 3 seconds ahead of Christoph Peterson. Ulrich Diaga all over the back of Christoph Rolotsky as Finn van Hollen clips the dirt yet again. That Porsche not having an easy time. Rich van Heed in 16th position continues on his drive. Martin Spritzer all over the back of Paul Fenter as they battle their way around the circuit, trying to see it through to the end. Round 6 of 7, second last round of the season here at ERA Sunday Championship, and still so much time left on the board for every single one of these drivers to give it their all, to give it that final shot, to score the last remaining points of the season and see who can be called the 2025 champion for our season 16 here at ERA. Christoph Rolotsky, Ulrich Diaga continue to fight it out for the top 4 in our gold division, continuing to battle their way on and seeing where they can go. Lewis Knight and Rul Jar fighting for the overall lead in our gold division. And it's going to be a hard bit of work out for Lewis Knight if he wants to get it done and dusted. Absolutely blasting his way through. Rul Jar trying to snap the toe early on at the moment. Matt Whitburn now letting the clock run down. 26 seconds to go before he crosses the line as a victor here at Brands Hatch. And it looks like he's going to cross the line just before, so it'll be 1 lap left as here he comes. 8, 7, 6, 5 onto his final lap of the race. This is now make or break for the drivers. Paul Fenter keeping ahead of Martin Spritzer will be going and doing everything he can in the Aston Martin to try and hold the line, get in to that top 4. It's going to be a hard work for him. Daniel Mutsuma fighting out with Ben Hicks, Ulrich Diaga, and Christoph Rolotsky, Lewis Knight, and Riljar. Everyone getting told 1 lap left to go. And all eyes go towards Matt Whitburn, who is now trying to get the climb. And the first little fighting out he's going to see is the likes of Ulrich Diaga and Christoph Rolotsky. I don't think he'll be able to overtake them before the line. That means that these fighting duos will have 1 more lap to try and push that a little bit harder to see it through to the end. Martin Spritzer all over the back of Paul Fenter. Yet again, no room to get on by. Can't figure out what needs to be done. But coming up towards the wire, folks. Going towards the final corners of this race here at Brands Hatch. Second time out, second victory, and taking it here in the Diamond Division and overall. Matt Whitburn takes round 6 of the ERA Sunday Championship ahead of Christoph Peterson in second place. Ryan Gell will take the victory in the Platinum Division, third overall. What a drive by him. Stephen Lorna James will take third in our Diamond Division. Mike Musa finishing up in fourth place. David Boschke will finish up second of our Platinum, with Chris Wall coming across the line with Joshua all over the car. Will take third place in the Platinum Division. Paul Fenter will finish out ahead of Martin Spritzer. A phenomenal drive on their part. And it's going to be Daniel Mutsuma and Ben Hicks race to the line. Ben just getting ahead of Daniel Mutsuma right at the last. No room to spare. Arul Jar, Lewis Knight fight it out. But it is going to be Arul Jar to take the victory here for our Gold Division ahead of Lewis Knight in second place. David Roth comes across the line. A great recovery drive on his part. Christian Fingler once again on the podium and going to be happy with that one. A third place in our Gold Division. Rich Van Eed keeping ahead of Christoph Rolotsky and Ulrich Diaga as they march across the line, finishing up the racing here tonight. What a drive. What an incredible, incredible race from our competitors here tonight for our ERA Sunday Championship Round 6. Bit of a smaller grid, but the action was absolutely on point here tonight with some great side-by-side moments, and with no one able to give an inch, the championships are starting to get a little bit more spicy for our final race of the season. But the fastest lap time of the race goes to Matt Whitburn with 123.7 as his last run. And that was without having any track cuts. He was able to put in a proper run to the line. Absolutely wonderful stuff coming in. And what a drive indeed. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of our racing. And we get ready to interview some of our drivers after an incredible run here at Brands Hatch. We're going to kick things off a little bit further down into the likes of our Gold Division. And let's bring in the fight for second place of our Gold Division. And for second and first, let's bring in likes of Lewis Knight to come and have a chat to us. Lewis, welcome to the commentary box. How are you feeling after that one? A last lap dash against Arul Jar, and you were all over the back of him. How are you feeling?
Horrible, because I killed Paul. I took another driver out in the process for it, so not great, I'll be honest. Not great.
Regardless of...
It happens.
That's it. Motorsport, it happens. But take us through going nose to tail. It looked like you, as the Lamborghini, had some run over the Ferrari 296, but just in certain parts of the circuit, it was just less favorable for you. What was it, how was it out there? And knowing that time was starting to run out and you were going to need to push that a little bit more to really dig deep on those tires and see where you can come out.
Every time I got close to him, it just pulled away from me. It's like I close the gap and then I'd make a mistake because I was pushing myself too hard. I mean, I can't fault Jar for those last couple laps because there was just he didn't give me an inch to work with. I can't fault him at all. He didn't give me this like it didn't make the mistake, so I couldn't catch him on it. So props to him for it.
And take us through this race. It's a rather special moment for us. This week is the 2-year anniversary to a driver, an absolute legend here in the world of ERA, and you managing to take the car across the line in second place, going and wearing his name proudly on the car.
Yeah, I spoke to Chris prior to like a week, like when we sorted this all out, and I said I was going to put him on the car somehow. I'm hoping that he, not only Chris, but I'm hoping Josh would have enjoyed that, the show that Server One put on, just as much as everyone else.
Well, it was definitely a very, very special moment, and what a run on your side for going for that second place. Before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations, and after a hard-fought fight, I'm sure you're needing a bit of a cool down after that. Anything you would like to say to all our partners here at ERA, to all our amazing admin that work behind the scenes, along with our incredible competitors and teams that joined us here this evening at Brands Hatch, and most importantly, to our incredible spectators out in the virtual grandstands?
Obviously, to ERA, you know, the guys spend so much time arranging these things, so thanks to them, and just thank you to everyone that spends their time to watch what we do and enjoy the races as much as we do while we're on track.
Absolutely great stuff. Well, Lewis Knight, congratulations on second place in the gold division. Phenomenal work coming into play. Next up, let's bring in our first place of our gold division that had to fight it out in the Ferrari 296. A real jar. Come and have a chat to us on a incredible fight. And real welcome to the commentary box. What a phenomenal drive on your part, but just not an inch to breathe throughout the race. How are you feeling?
Good. It was definitely a tense race.
Now, take us
Yes,
through...
but
apologies, yes?
yeah, I just did my race and I tried to not make any mistake.
Well, you definitely
well, it
managed
did work
to do
out, so I'm happy.
You definitely managed to do it. How are you feeling? You gained 2 positions, maximizing the points for the championship, second last round of the championship. What's the game plan? One more round to go, and you are in the fight to walk away as champion in the gold division.
By my calculation, I think I might already be champion. So I might get a penalty for this race as well. But I think still I might be champion already, so it's good. I don't have any game plan for next race, so it's good. I don't have to race it.
Fair enough. And take us through racing in the dawn. You were in the mid-grid. What was the game plan from your side to stay at the top of the order, considering you started right into 14th and immediately met with that sunset?
Yeah, I mean, the track is very difficult, so I try to drive a bit slower than I could, so just to not make any mistake. And hopefully it did work out because I see basically all position I gain is because the guys in front did a mistake or fight too hard or something. So hopefully just steady pace and safe was the key to winning this one.
Well, a absolute congratulations to you on that. Anything you would like to say to all the admins, to the teams, to the drivers, and most importantly, the petrol heads out in the virtual grandstands joining us here today on a very early morning for Brands Hatch?
No, I hope you enjoyed the race, and good job to Lewis. I didn't expect it to be that quick on this race.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Roger, leading out our championship and looks to be champion, taking the gold here at Brands Hatch after a phenomenal drive. That being said, let's have a chat to our platinum drivers, and our third place of the platinum drivers going and fighting it out, and also was the lead car on our parade lap for the likes of Joshua. We're going to bring in Chris Wall to come and have a chat to us. Chris, welcome to the commentary box, and a moment to go and say that you standing on the podium in a tribute to a good friend of Joshua Friedman, but managing to take in such a spectacular fight. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's always an emotional one. This is obviously the second year since Josh has gone. It's always a tough time of year. Something to be fair, I'm a bit of a man about it, and I just block it out, and then we do the lap, and it sort of all comes out. So, yeah, it's tough, mate. But yeah, I'm happy to be on the podium. It was a tough race. I was being chased down by the South African missile that is Paul Venter. Good battle with Martin and David throughout as well. Always good battles with those guys. So I had an absolute blast. And I'm just happy to always, I guess, put on a bit of a performance, I guess, for Josh. I always race in his memory, and I would just want to thank all the Server 1 and Server 2 guys for continuing to remember him.
Well, there's a special note that was said by our out in the grandstands, and this actually comes from Jess Friedman herself, saying, thank you so much.
Yeah, Josh's sister.
Thank you so much for the lap for Josh. We really appreciate the fact that he's remembered still. Love from his sister. So it's not falling on deaf ears. And once again, the Friedman family going and seeing the livery that you've got, and to see the ERA doing a lap in his honor, it still shows. And just that sentence alone, how are you feeling? And knowing that you managed to get a third place as well, that's good for your championship. But managing to go and put, well, Josh up on the podium yet again.
Yeah, well, I can't really add anything onto that. I know I'm still in touch with his family regularly. I'm going to go and see him again soon. I think I'm due a visit up to Manchester again. No, I spoke to Jess, Chris and Simon earlier on. Spoke to them. They know we were doing this. They love the fact that we still remember him. And yeah, I'm just proud to be able to be representing him still, and taking a step on the podium, which I don't do very often. I've got a couple this season, but I don't do it very often because the pace is so ridiculous now in Platinum. And yeah, I'm just happy to be able to represent him on this stage, I suppose. But and thank you all for your tributes and everything as well. It means a lot.
With that being said, anything you'd like to say to the admin, to all our partners here at ERA, and most importantly to the drivers, the teams, and our petrol heads joining us here at Brands Hatch for round 6 of the ERA Sunday Championship.
Oh no! Thanks for joining in. Just got one more week to go. We take it to Zandvoort now for the final. I know a couple of championships are already wrapped up. I've just had a sneak peek at the points, obviously pending the stewards, the stewards process. But I've seen some of the championships already. There's a lot of battles out to be played out in the final race. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for streaming it. Obviously, everyone behind the scenes, all the staff, all the work that goes on behind the scenes to put this on. And we'll see you all next week for the final round out at Zandvoort.
Absolutely incredible stuff. And Chris Wall going and taking that third place right behind David Broschke, and also going and seeing that Ryan Gell took the victory. And let's have a chat to Ryan, going and taking a solid victory in third overall here today. And let's see if we can bring Ryan to come and have a chat to us. Ryan, once again, a massive congratulations, managing to get yourself third overall and a victory in class. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. It was definitely a tough race. I think for me it was one of the toughest races because you have to stay so concentrated. The slightest mistake can kill you. So yeah, definitely a satisfying win.
Now, we did see you have a little bit of a moment coming through the 4 right-handers at the top of the circuit. What was going on? Yep. We saw you pushing harder and harder, and then all of a sudden you're pointing in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it was just I lost my concentration a little bit. I was behind a blue flag, I think, and yeah, completely my bad. I went into corner with too much speed and just spun. But luckily, I had a big enough gap behind me to not lose any positions. After that, I just had to concentrate again and finish the race.
Taking a look at the championship thus far, do you feel that you're in good stead to take on the fight for the final race for the Platinum Division
Yep.
to take the win? Or do you feel that there's still a little bit more that you can give? And bear in mind, by the looks of it, you're going to be moving into the Diamond Division in the not so distant future to fight out against Christoph Peterson and Matt Whitburn for the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I think Chris and Whitburn are on a little bit on another level right now, but I'm definitely pushing to compete with them, and I'm looking forward to next season.
Absolutely. And let's talk about your qualifying lap time. Absolutely incredibly fast. How on earth are you managing to find that pace to really just close that distance, to really get that quick and stay in for the fight?
Yeah, qualifying, I wasn't really happy about it. I think I had like 2, 3 more tens in it, but I messed up in my last attempt. But still, plat pole, and I had some diamonds in between me and the P2 from plat, so that was perfect. And for the rest, yeah, there was progressive grip, so it was tough. A little bit of a challenge, but I liked it.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations, and after a third overall, a first in class, incredibly quick lap time, nearly a 122 as a lap time, anything you would like to say to all of the staff here at ERA, to the admin, to the teams, the drivers, and most importantly, the amazing petrol heads out in the virtual grandstands?
Of course, first of all, rest in peace to Josh. I didn't really know him, but obviously it's never nice to hear something like this. And to everyone running the server, driving in it, thank you so much. Keep going. We have an amazing community, and yeah, see you next week.
Absolutely wonderful. Ryan coming and having a chat to us, taking the victory in the Platinum Division and really putting in a quick lap time. Let's bring in our second place of our Diamonds and our current leader of the championship, Christoph Peterson, to come and have a chat to us. Christoph, welcome to the commentary box. First of all, man, oh man, what a fight you and Matt were having this time round, that it was just progressively nose to tail for quite some time. Take us through having a side-by-side battles around Brands Hatch, which is notorious for going and saying no one's allowed side-by-side.
It's so rough. It's such a rough track. Like everything was rough. The tire management in the first stint that I pulled a little bit longer. I closed my brake ducts in the back a little bit too much, so the tires were running extremely hot. But I committed to the strategy of going a bit longer because I wanted to avoid most blue flags. And yeah, then Matt caught me off guard a little bit with not taking tires, so he was in front of me, and I thought, okay, now it's 30 minutes, nearly 30 minutes, 25 minutes or something, and I have to find some way to get by, but it was just impossible. On this track, you can't even see the brake markers when you're behind the car. It's especially in that fast middle sector where you're always on the edge of the track, and the grass will kill you once you hit it. It's so hard to follow, and it's hard to get side by side there without pushing each other out, which was also, I don't know if you called it on stream, like one time we were side by side and I had a chance to like push a little bit further and get my nose further ahead, but I was mostly concerned that I would push him out, so I didn't go all the way. Yeah, and then a bit unfortunate end in the end, but I guess accidents happen, so you can never predict that, and I'm happy that I could limp it around the finish line to finish P2.
It was definitely a race of the ages between you two, going and brawling back and forward. And this is something that you were waiting from at Kyalami. You've had that bit of a deficit coming in. What was the goal plan, knowing that he's got 15 seconds, you got 10? We saw you go a little bit over in terms of the pit stops. Was that just to try and minimize the time loss of that 5-second deficit between the two of you that needed to be served?
Yeah, I mean, I got this like kind of unexpected pole because he was definitely faster in practice, and also practiced a little bit more than me. I think this week I was very late starting practice because I was more focusing on the other league I'm doing. But yeah, like I committed to this 60 liters at the start because I thought starting from pole, maybe I have a chance to not be overtaken in T1 or T2. Unfortunately, it happened. And just kind of hang on to P1 and get this, and then get ahead after the pit stop. When I pitted, I thought about not taking tires too for a second, but I didn't commit to it because I thought I could never defend this. But turns out you can actually defend on really worn tires here because this is so hard to overtake.
Well, an absolute great one. And once again, extending the lead in the championship for you. Anything you'd like to say to the drivers, to your competitors out there, keeping you on your toes, to the teams that joined us here today on a very, very special day indeed, as we remember Joshua Freeman, but also as we get closer to the end of the championship, and to those in the virtual grandstands cheering on from the sidelines and giving us a good run for our money.
Yeah, rest in peace, Josh. I didn't know him either. He was still alive when I joined ERA, actually. It was in my first season, in season 8, when he died. I remember the first parade lap that was at Barcelona, that we did for him, just after he died. So yeah, rest in peace there. And it also like kind of reminds me of how long I am in ERA already. Like it's 2 years now. Doesn't sound like long, but in sim racing, it's quite a long time, I would say, because so many seasons have passed since then, and every single one of them was great. So yeah, congrats to everyone who finished on the podium and made this race another one to remember. Congrats to Matt for winning twice in a row. That's really impressive, always. Yeah, and see you all at Zandvoort.
That's it. Off to the final round. Christoph Peterson, our current championship defender, looking to do it again. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get ahead of the Porsche, and most fortunately for Matt Whitbird, taking a first place yet again on his second time here at ERA. Matt, welcome to the commentary box, and looks like you're making more and more of an effort to come and see us here. We're going to have to get a plaque on the seat for you. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, good. I enjoyed that one. It was a good battle. I was hoping to try and pull a gap so I can get new tyres at the pit stop, but Chris was too fast. So I thought, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to get past him because he'll have fresh tyres. So I thought I'm just going to take a chance, not take my tyres, and hopefully get in front. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Good fight.
And take us through. You are in a Porsche that's notorious for getting a little bit sideways, a little bit of a difficult run in and out through the corners, and you kept getting forced to the outside line. How was it for you to just get that little bit of grip necessary to stay ahead of Christoph Peterson?
I mean, it was fully sideways coming in and out of most corners, to be honest. Towards the second half of the race, the tyres started getting worse. I managed to have 3 pressure losses. So the right side was totally pressure loss, and then the left rear was a pressure loss as well. So it was just sliding around everywhere. And yeah, it was the Porsche's not particularly good at looking after its tyres, but I thought, there's only chance really I think I've got with this 5-second deficit. So I thought I'd give it a go.
And setting the fastest lap time of the race, again, another point being added into it. But take us through, what was your favorite part of the race? You started out towards the front row. You were really fighting it out. But if you had to take a moment in the race for you to hang up on a wall, what would be your favorite part that you can say, that was my moment?
Oh, it was definitely the battling with Chris. I really enjoyed that. We had a few moments where he was putting me in awkward positions where I had to defend. I knew he was quick and I had the tyres, so I was debating whether to cover the inside. And I knew if I did, I'd get a bad exit. So it was trying to balance that out. And yeah, when we got alongside each other, it was good fun. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to hopefully doing some more of that with him.
Absolutely incredible, incredible drive. Well, before I let you go to enjoy the celebration, anything you'd like to say to all the admins here at ERA, to all the competitors and teams on the circuit that was joining you tonight, and most importantly, the incredible, incredible fans that were littered around Brands Hatch, cheering you guys on as you were back and forth in the Diamond Battle and overall lead of the race.
Yeah, so first of all, my condolences to Josh. I've never met the guy, and actually, I've not been in a sim community before where they've set up this parade lap for a member. So I think that's a really nice thing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I actually, driving around, it makes you think and appreciate life. So yeah, it was a really nice thing that everyone did, and also, sorry for Chris's loss, and at least tonight was a good way of trying to send a little send off again for him. So that was great.
Well, an absolute great run, and we look forward to seeing you for the final round here at ERA as we look to take battle. Do you think you're going to be able to get a 3 in a row this time round, or is it on the cards to have Christoph getting ahead of you?
I think I'll definitely struggle to beat Chris at Zandvoort. I know he's super quick there, and the Porsche just eats its tyres. So Zandvoort is a particularly difficult track on tyres. So I'll try. I'll give it my best, but I don't think so. I'll maybe if I get lucky somewhere.
Well, mixed conditions means that anything can happen. Matt Whitburn, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on the victory in the Diamond and overall here tonight. Round 6 of our championship done and dusted. One more round to go here at ERA. And if you're looking to have a bit of fun, you're looking to join in with it, we got plenty more going on throughout the year, and you can be a part of it. Just head over to our Discord down in the description. Come and join up, as Thursday we're going to be having our sprint race to go and have a bit of fun on the 4th of December before we have a Friday night random race on the 5th of December. We head on to the 7th. It'll be the final round of our season 16, and that'll be at Zandvoort. Mixed conditions. No one knows what it's going to be, whether it's sun or shine. Is it going to be dark? Is it going to be rain? No one has an idea. Plus, we have multiple courses to go and teach you how to get the car sorted out, get you a little bit more comfortable. Whether you're new, whether you are old, whether you're well experienced, or you're dipping your toes into the world of sim racing, there is a place for you here at ERA, and we invite you to come and join us for some incredible, incredible racing. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an absolutely incredible one. We are heading towards 500 subscribers here at ERA, and we need your help. Before the end of the year, we want to hit 500 subscribers. So how you can help is by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell notification icon, and leaving a like. Letting us know what is your favorite moment in the championship thus far, and who do you feel that could take the top of the order. Once again, our condolences. After 2 years, we still miss him deeply. Joshua, rest in peace, and we are with you in spirit, same as you are in spirit with us. My name is Stephen Koenig. I'd like to say thank you very much to all our admins, drivers, teams for going and putting in all the work. A massive, massive thank you to you, the petrol heads that keep us going. And what an incredible, incredible race we had. One more to go next week, Sunday. All for the cards. The final championship of 2025 for the ERA Sunday Championship. And it all comes down to this. Zandvoort. Don't miss it. Always be with it. Keep your foot on the gas. And my name is Stephen Koenig. And like always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.